How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. I am back. Sorry for the long delay. Decided to step away from podcasting for a little bit, just clear myself up, spend some more time with Alex. He's going back to school next week, so I figured I'd just spend as much time as I can with him. Late night recording session, actually. It's, about almost 10 o'clock, and yeah, we're doing everything live. I don't edit. You guys know that. You can tell by the way the podcast goes. I don't edit. So here I am drinking the last beer in the fridge before Alex goes back to school. So shout out to Unnamed Beer that isn't sponsoring me. So you get no name out. Shout out. But it is very good, very delicious. It's a local beer. So what did we do while I was out? Did a lot of small little day trips with Alex and my wife whenever she was off with us. As you guys know, I am now working a 4-day work week, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm working Tuesday, Wednesday, then I'm off Thursday, Friday, working Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm off Monday, and then the cycle repeats itself, which is great. Lots of time to recover and relax, especially when you work in the customer service business. And so, thoroughly enjoying that. Again, hours were cut, but you know what? I'm a lot happier about it. Finally did some camping. Took Alex to do some camping up in Jellystone Camping Resort in Glen, New Hampshire. And I will say I'm going to give it about 3 stars, to be honest with you. It wasn't that good. It rained a bit when we were there. There really wasn't much to do aside from the water park. And I know it's our first time camping, and so we didn't really get the best of it, I guess. We didn't even have any camping chairs or anything like that. We did have a tent. Mary and Alex slept on a air mattress, and I went all natural and slept on the ground. And at 42 years of age, and former professional wrestler, former mixed martial artist, backyard wrestler, and high school wrestler, and high school football player, and tore my knee playing high school baseball, the ground was not nice to me, and I don't know what I was thinking. I'd honestly probably trying to do that whole, back to nature, blah, 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 and it was a stupid idea, to be honest with you. My hips still hurt. I wish, those were one of the few times I wish I was fatter, so I had some fat to cushion me, but I didn't. Obviously, being Asian male, I also have no booty, and so my back hurts. And yeah, to this day, we've been back for a week now, and it's still kind of tender. But overall, Alex had fun. That's all that mattered, really. He had a good time, and he thoroughly enjoyed water parks. We could have just went to a water park for the day, and I think he'd be perfectly fine. But we got it out of the system, and he's going back to school next week, and honestly, I'm going to miss spending time with him. But, education is very important. We homeschooled him as best as we could during COVID, and he's 6 years old. He was reading at a 3rd grade level last time we checked him. They're probably going to test him again. He was off the charts in kindergarten, so super, super proud of him. And, looking forward to seeing things through his eyes going forward. I mean, everything is new to him. I've probably scaled mountains and walked through forests so many times now, but everything he does it's brand new to him. And so I get to live that excitement all over again vicariously through him. And I'm just going to take a quick sip of my beer here. Still making noise because no one likes dead air. And so when I last left you, I think, I was talking about the 440. And again, that's working out great for me. Paycheck isn't really taking a hit because I managed to get $1 raise before I switched out. And so technically, I'm pretty much right back where I was, which is fine. And again, love it, great, nice and relaxed. And when Alex goes back to school, I'll have time. I'll have Monday to spend with the missus, which also is a bonus. We haven't done that we haven't been alone since Alex was born. You know, we don't have family members that close that can watch him. So it's pretty much been either myself or my wife that's been home with him. And now that I have Mondays off and Alex will be in school, I actually get to spend time with the missus. No, we're old now. That's not going to happen. We're probably just going to take naps on the couch. But this was an episode that I've been meaning to record since the beginning of the month, to be honest with you. And things just got in the way, and I had other ideas that popped in. So this is an episode called Tutorials, and essentially it's about video games, you know. So I talked about anime, I talked about my work. Now I'm talking about video games, and I love video games. They were a huge part of my life, you know, growing up, being an only child. Parents worked, you know, 2 jobs each, and so my mom got me my first Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, or NES. I don't know how people say that, but it's an NES, damn it. September of 1988 is when my mom got me my first Nintendo. It was at Kmart. I remember it well. She paid with a check, and if I remember correctly, there was a complication with the check, and they had to like call the bank and, you know, make sure it was her. And for those of you who don't remember, Kmart was a department store just like Target, and they at one point filed for bankruptcy, and then Sears gave them money to get out of bankruptcy. And Kmart turned around and bought a bunch of Sears stock, and then ended up owning Sears, which was hilarious. And so it was like Sears Kmart. And then both of them eventually just went out of business. But yeah, she got me the Nintendo Entertainment System with Super Mario and Duck Hunt. It was a package deal. And it came with 2 controllers, which I still have to this. Actually, I still have the entire system to this day in my dad's basement. And I don't have the cartridge anymore, unfortunately. But you know, you can get Super Mario Duck Hunt combo pretty much anywhere for like $2 now. I don't recommend emulators. Come on, you can't use the gun with an emulator. You can't use the gun with brand new TVs, actually, because TVs don't flicker. The new TVs don't flicker like tube TVs do, and so that's how the gun registers. It registers a flicker. Fun fact: if you just aimed your gun at a light bulb and pulled the trigger, you would get the duck every single time. And also, if you plugged, if you did a 1 duck, you can actually control the duck, while the other person in controller 2 tried to shoot the duck. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I literally just found that out. So, how many days were you? I was probably 6 days old. Anyways, and so I got really, really into video games because my mom had bought me the Nintendo. And back then, you just had to figure things out. You know, I mean, you had like friends come over, obviously, and, you know, everybody knows the blow into the cartridge technique, which turns out is actually quite bad for the cartridge. Moisture and electronics really don't mix too well. You know, I've never opened up a cartridge, but I'm pretty sure it looks pretty gross on the inside from people constantly blowing into them. And, you know, there's the people who do the cold blow, you know, the blow from a distance, and then there's the people who put their mouth full on the cartridge and then just give it like a I don't know, like a mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, I guess is probably the best way to put it. But yeah, it's pretty funny because we didn't have social media back then, right? But everybody knew that you had to blow into the cartridge for it to work, and it was just a crapshoot. Obviously, it was just connectors. that didn't connect too well. And, you can actually buy a kit now that connects the cartridge perfect every single time. But, flash forward, I have a kid now, Alex. Hi, Alex. I love you. And we have the Switch now, and we have the Switch Online program. For you not familiar, for $20 a year, or I did the big, was that the expandable package? I think it's like $50 a year. But you can get all your old Nintendo games, all Super Nintendo games, SNES, SNES, all day, or Genesis, all the old school stuff. And so Alice is playing it one day, and he looks up at me, and he's like, "Papa." I go, "Yeah, bud." He goes, "What's the attack button?" And I look down, and he's playing Zelda. And I was like, "What do you mean, what's the attack button?" And he goes, "I don't know how to attack." And I go, "Buddy, there's only two buttons. It's shield and attack." And he goes, but I don't know how to attack. How do I attack?" And I go, "Buddy, there's really only two buttons. Which one are you pressing?" He's pressing the A button, which is protect. So I go, "Well, press the B button." He does, and yes, Link stabs the spider. And he goes, "How did you know that?" I go, "Buddy, there's only two buttons. Like, it's not that hard, And then I realized, the concept of just everything, everything being done with just two buttons back then was insane. Like, you blocked, you attacked, you jumped, all that stuff with just two buttons. That's crazy. Like, now I have a button to just holster my weapon. But back then the programmers had to decide what button was important, and so they did that. And oh god, I just rested. Oh, by the way, I got a new computer to record. I'm no longer recording off my my iPad. So sidebar. And so nowadays I'm looking at it, and he's playing video games. He's learning. He memorized everything, which is fantastic. I appreciate the fact that he memorizes maps and all these things. But he does get very, very frustrated easily with certain games, and gives me the controller just so I can beat it for him. And I told him, he needs to figure it out on his own, or just stop playing the game. I'm not trying to be mean to him, but I'm trying to coax him into using his brain, using his problem-solving skills. He still wants to play, but he refuses to learn how to beat a certain thing. And so he would just give me the controller and give up. And then eventually, I'll have to do it for him. And I think that's where our generation wins out over the current generation, is we figured things out. We grew up with really, really simple games, but we didn't have the saves, or we didn't have the unlimited lives. We didn't have mods, Mods is a fairly new thing, but it's been around for years, if you were a PC player. But we didn't have any of that stuff. If you go to, I'm not inviting all you guys to my dad's house, but if you go to my dad's house, I have notebooks filled with codes and moves and passwords and strategy on how to beat every single game I've ever played. The Metroid, it's insane how my little mind was writing these things down. I could barely write my name, my government name, Virafone Chantavisuk. I couldn't write that down, and yet I was doing okay. You need to level 3 1 on Super Mario Brothers. You had that turtle that if you jumped on just right, you can do 1-ups. But you don't do too many 1-ups. If you get greedy, you die. Certain things like that. Or warp zone spaces, or obviously the contra code, up, down, left, right. or the number that forever is ingrained in my head, 007 373 Not my social security number, but that is the code to get you to Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, or Mr. Dream, if you don't have the Mike Tyson game. But yeah, that's in my head still, and that those things like that, like, they're all in my dad's attic, and I do plan on getting those one day. I just want to just like look through them and see, my handwriting, like little noise handwriting, and then just reading through, because that's a part of me. That's a part of my history, and maybe it's important for Alex. I don't know, but he might enjoy it. So everything was either written down on like a scrap piece of paper and then transferred to the notebook, or I had to memorize it all day. Like if somebody told me a move, like a forward quarter/forward punch to do a Hadouken, like I had to remember that. Like screw school, screw whatever, multiplications gone. I have no idea what's going on. All I remember is down, back circle, forward, high punch, and that would do something. Or back, low punch, throws the spear for Scorpion, things like that. And like I memorized that, saved it in my head all day. Didn't talk to anybody. Didn't talk during lunch. Somebody called on me and I zoned out completely until I got home, so I can write that down. And middle school moves, especially the latest Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter moves, they were treated with like such secrecy because you needed an edge. You were friends, yes, obviously you were friends and you were playing together, but no. There's a dark side to playing in the arcades, because that was your money. Like that was your 25-50 cents back then. But you didn't buy lunch. You didn't buy snacks in the snack line. No. You got off the bus and you went to that convenience store and you gave the guy $2 and you got back 8 quarters, and that 8 quarters needed to last for as long as God will allow it to last. And so, again, moves like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter moves, treated with such secrecy that friendships have ended over them. Like they could be sold in, if you want it to be a little black market, I mean, you could sell, in either fighter specific sheets, or they can just buy the whole lot. You can sell these like $5 for Sub-Zero's moveset. Like, that's what I got. And God forbid if I knew both fatalities and friendships and babalities at the same time. Like, that was extra. That's going to cost you, Chief. Like, if you knew the moves, you were a god among mortals in middle school. Put it that way. And we figured these things out because we had a limited budget. Again, we didn't have unlimited respawn or save points. We had arcades. We had to use our own money. They weren't tokens. They weren't cards that you could save. No. You had those 8 quarters. And again, you had to use them or you lost them, essentially. Because there's no way I'm going to walk home with quarters jingling in my pockets. No. I was going to play them until I ran out, or until it got dark and I go, oh shit, I should have been home like maybe 4 hours ago. We didn't have achievements yet. But what we did have was, I don't know, you guys might not remember this. If some of you will, if you hung out in the arcades long enough, we had the quarter queue. And if you're not familiar with the quarter queue, it's you're playing a game and you're really, really good at it. And then people start putting quarters up on the monitor. If you were good, more people wanted to take you down. More quarters, you had line up on the monitor. Like, everybody wanted you. And if you lost, you know what? Some people would take their quarters down. They didn't want to play somebody who won recently. They wanted to play somebody who had a streak. And the more quarters you had lined up on that monitor, the better the feeling you had when you watched them go down. It's very similar to Twitch or YouTube right now, actually. I mean, people watching other people play video games, commenting and giving props to those players, learning moves and techniques. It was an art form. And that all changed when tutorials came along. And I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of tutorials. I'm really not. I remember playing Assassin's Creed 3 for the first time, and I had to sit through an hour tutorial because they switched up the controls. Thankfully, they turned it into a prologue, but I'll be honest with you, I mean, I told everybody this. I kind of felt offended that the game had to hold my hand. I've been playing Assassin's Creed since the beginning, you know, from Altair to Ezio Auditore, all three Ezio games, and I've been doing quite well with very little. Like there would be like a quick little pop up every now and then, or like they would make it a training game where, you know, you would have to learn how to counter or attack and things like that, but it would never hold your hand. It was never easy. You just had to figure it out. And I've been playing since the beginning, and I didn't want a pop-up to take me out of that world that the game was building. I was getting really into it, and at that moment, I was either Altair or I was Ezio. And then there would just be a pop-up, and it goes, you know, these guys are about to attack you. Press L1 and X to counter. And then they go, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And that just takes the pace. It kills the pace of the game. And I remember, I want to say Tekken 5 was on the Game Pass. And I haven't played Tekken in a while. I'll be honest with you, I loved Tekken 1, loved Tekken 2. Tekken 3 was probably the best out of the lot. And yes, I am a Jin Kazama guy. Like I will stand for Jin Kazama. And Tekken 4 came, and they changed his moveset for no apparent reason. And they're like, okay, yes, he was too similar to Kazuya. And I go, you know, I don't care. Like, Jin was perfectly balanced. And then you ruined him. And then other people go, oh, you know, it made him better. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Your opinion doesn't matter. I'm the one with Laos's #1 podcast. My opinion matters. God, I'm conceited. Oof. Season 3. Jesus. Season 4, I'm going to be completely unbearable. But, you know, I haven't played Tekken in a while, and I didn't want to buy it. So I said, why not? I'll download it. It's on Game Pass. And I waited to download. I waited for it to boot up, and Paul Phoenix was my go-to guy at this point because, again, they nerfed the hell out of Jin. And so they didn't change Paul. So I was ready to get Paul Phoenix. I was ready to smash some people online. And then I got hit with the how to play tutorial. What's worse? What was an even bigger slap in the face was that you couldn't skip it. You had to go through step by step before you were allowed, quote unquote, allowed to play the game. And I said, yeah, nuts to that. I said, I uninstalled it, and I haven't played a single Tekken game since. No Tekken Tag, no Tekken 6, Tekken 7, even though they had the Bullet Club t-shirts, did not get it. And yeah, I get that games are hard. I get that sometimes you do need some help along the way, and that's what websites are for now. That's what guides are for. I don't really need that to, again, kill the flow of the game. I think that should be player's choice. Some games have gotten better now with giving you the option to shut off tutorials during the settings, and I'm okay with that. I think that's why Dark Souls and Elden Ring is so popular. Is because you screwed up. That was it. Like, yes, you can get a tutorial on how to do very basic things, but you had to figure out strategy. Otherwise, you were going to get killed every single time, and you were going to have to start over. And yes, the frustration kicks in, but the reward of finally beating a boss in in Elden Ring is something that you're never going to experience if you didn't work on it. And it's a throwback to the old days. You know, it goes back to the old days where there are consequences in dying. It's a throwback to games like the arcade. You know, you ran out of quarters, you couldn't continue anymore, and when you died, that was that. Like, that was that. You had to start over, and people began to gravitate towards that. And I think, you know, people want that. It's not a new concept. I mean, maybe it's a new concept to like new gamers, but losing and dying, like permadeath in XCOM. If you guys follow me on Facebook, like, I wrote a eulogy for Taylor Swift because she died in XCOM, and that was it. That was a permadeath. You couldn't get her back. Let's say we're never ever getting back together, ever. But yeah, I enjoy that because I care more about the characters if I knew I was never going to get them again. And, you know, like, again, I'm not a big fan of Elden Ring or the Dark Soul games, but I get it. I get why people gravitate towards it. I'm an in-between guy. Give me a good story. And if I die, let me start where I left off. Like, don't take me all the way to the very beginning of, like, level 1 or something like that. But, you know, I don't mind losing loot, like Fallout does. I don't mind that. I can always get that back, but I don't want to start all over. You know, that's where I do like save points. And, but don't hold my hand. Don't tell me, you know, I died and, you know, I could have done this instead. Like, let me figure that out. And that's life, really. Like, sure, there are people who get frustrated, and I guess this is where I wrap it all up, right? Yeah, sure. People get frustrated, and they wish things were easy. But I guess that saying where don't wish things were easy, wish we were better. And that's what I think this generation needs to learn. Is that life isn't easy. Life isn't going to give you everything. I know that's how you were raised. Mama and daddy gave you everything. And except for a spanking, because it shows, it definitely shows that you've never had a spanking in your life. But learning to figure things out and using your brain for once, as opposed to Googling things, and then sharing that knowledge. I think that's what we're missing is, you know, everything is a TikTok video now. And TikTok's, 15 seconds? And then you're done. But if you sat down and you talked with your friends and, you know, how did you beat that? Well, I did this and I did that. Well, man, I never thought about doing that. Yeah, well, this is how I did it. And then you show them how it's done. Like, you sat down, and then next thing you know, you got a community going. And that's what gaming was all about. You know, yes, you have multiplayer. I talked about this before. All the old games, like I picked up AEW, and they're like, yeah, it's a throwback to No Mercy. No, not really. Because now I can play online with complete strangers, and I don't want to play with complete strangers. I want to play with my friends. You know, friends I grew up with. We slept over, sat on the couch, and had sleeping bags on the floor and played the same damn game for 8 hours until our parents woke up to go pee and then said, shit, you guys are still up, go to sleep. You know, that. And then we'd go to sleep, and then we'd wake up and play the game again. But that's what we're missing. We're missing that camaraderie. We're missing that socialness. Social media, actual social. And that's what we need to get back to. And that's why I'm playing games with Alex. You know, he is my player too. Mary, yes, once in a while, she'd be player 2. But now we have, you know, player 1, player 2, player 3. And honestly, that's all we really need. We have a Mario Party. That's good enough for us. So that's all I'm going to say. I appreciate you guys listening. Again, questions, comments, please leave a review. So Spotify, who owns Anchor now, which is the program that I use, they don't count anybody other than Spotify. So if you guys have been listening on Apple Podcasts or Google, or the 2 people listening on Amazon, if you have Spotify, or even if it's free Spotify, if you have that, please try to listen on that one, because that gives me more traction. That gets more eyes and ears, and that's the only one that counts, unfortunately. But for the 35% that listen on Spotify, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Again, this wasn't supposed to be as big as I thought it would be. Last year, actually, I'm coming up on a year now of chasing Chantha Visuk / Hi, I'm Noi. But last year I was top 30% in subscribed podcasts. Like, that's insane. I didn't think that anybody would care. And I keep saying that, like, I didn't think anyone would care as much as to listen to 5 minutes of my drivel, talking about walking around my refugee camp completely pantless and just popping a squat whenever I felt like it. But you guys are still here, and it's wild. Just sitting in this apartment while my family's asleep, talking to myself about myself, completely narcissistic, and drinking a beer. But I just want to say thank you again. I can't thank you guys enough. But Alex, I love you, bud, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, see you guys.